3 things I've been playing with PowerApps that I think you should know about, right? One of them is going to make building Canvas apps easier and look a little bit nicer. The second one is something to be on the lookout for, because they're going to deprecate a thing that we've been using. And then number 3 is a little bit more of forward-looking. Here's where the future's headed. If that sounds like fun, then let's switch over to my desktop and take a look. Okay, so number 1 is the confirm, right? The ability to build pop-ups. So now if we go here to my little app, go start. And so now if I want to click on delete here, you're going to see that I get a pop-up. Do you really want to delete? This will delete Chewy from the list. That'd be very sad. This is the main message that describes what the user needs to confirm. Oops, I forgot to update that part. Oh well, you'll forgive me. And then basically you get a yes and no, right? Yes, delete, and then it would run. So the question is how did I get that? So Microsoft rolled out a new PowerFX function called confirm. It works both in model-driven apps and in our friend Canvas apps right here. And with confirm, one of the keys is you're going to have to turn on modern controls in order to leverage it. So let's jump over to a blank app and show you how to build that out real quick. All right, so we have a completely blank app I just created like half a second ago. And so the first thing you're going to do if you want to take advantage of confirm is you're going to need to go here to settings, and then you're going to go to updates, and then scroll down a little bit to modern controls and themes and turn them on. Right? If you don't turn them on, confirm still works, but it looks really, really wonky. And so if you get it and it doesn't look right, it's because you didn't turn on that setting, right? You've been warned. Okay, so now that we understand that that's there, now we can just throw a button in here so we can see how the function works. And basically it is exactly what you would expect. It is going to be confirm. And then the message, right? Let's say just hi mom. And if we just do that with nothing else, and now if we say play and press the button, we get a little pop-up here with the hi mom, with confirm and cancel. Now, obviously that's a little weak. You probably want to customize that. Customizing it is harder than I think it should have been. So let's do that real quick. Oh, not click that, Shane. Hit X here first. Now click there. Okay. And so we're going to delete this, and let me paste in some code real quick. Okay. So confirm, right? So here's that same message, right? So we wrote this hi mom last time. But then now down here, when we do inside of a record, right? So we got to put the little curly brackets, but then you have a title property. And so do you really want to delete? And if you're wondering how I got the fun little skeletons there, you just hit the Windows and the period, and then you get your little emoji picker. And PowerApps loves all of these fun little emojis, so you can have as many of those as you want. I used to enjoy those a lot more. AI is obsessed with them. So since AI uses them all the time, I've had to stop. So I quit looking like an AI. I am smart like an AI. That's what I tell myself. But anyway, so you got a title, you got a subtitle, and then you're going to say, oh, here, let's put hi mom here so we can just see that. All right, it feels better. Confirm button, yes. Cancel button, no. So there's the formatting for that, right? And remember, you can always steal the screenshot. I just hit pause and screenshot it. But if we hit play and press the button, there we go. We've got that in there. Now, a couple of questions you're going to ask me, right? So I'm going to save you some work. The first one you're probably going to ask me is, well, Shane, what if I only want 1 button? Or what if I want 4 buttons or anything like that? Can't do it, right? You can only have the 2 buttons. So you're stuck with them. So this would only work in scenarios where having the 2 buttons like that makes sense. Also remember that all of these are just text, right? So it doesn't care how you get there. So here you can see like I inserted the username function. In the previous demo, I did var record, a variable. Anything that you can do, right? PowerApps just wants what PowerApps wants. It doesn't care how you get there. So in this case, putting that in there like that will work just fine. So you can make this as dynamic as you want. Okay. Now the next thing you're thinking is, okay, well, how do I use this? The answer is PowerApps will return either true or false based on which one of those buttons you clicked. It's as simple as that. So if we wanted to do like we did over there a minute ago, right? Let's just paste in that whole code I stole from over there. Oh, and then get rid of the whole var record. We'll change that to user back again. Something like that. Okay, so I put this in an if. And so I said if, and then it does this confirm. The confirm is going to return true or false. What does an if want? True or false. And so if they clicked on true, then the user confirmed. If they clicked on false, then the user canceled. So you could do that. This is using Notify, which makes for a really janky experience. So don't do it, but this helps you prove to yourself that it works. So in my case of the delete, I would have put the whole remove here, right? Remove from data source and then record. And then for the second part, I probably would have had nothing, right? Because if they went hit go back, I just wanted nothing to happen. So that is how you use this function. Really neat. One of my students this week, when I showed it to them, they were asking, does this mean I have to use modern controls? Not necessarily. Like, you could build the whole app using classic controls and then turn on modern controls to enable this feature, right? Because if modern controls are off, let's just turn them back off real quick. Updates. Oh, they're right there. I keep wanting them to be further down because I think they should be. And then if we hit play, if I press this button now, you get that weird thing, right? So if you get that weird thing, it's because you didn't have modern controls on. So figure out what you want to do with this thing, but I do think it's worth a look, especially in a lot of scenarios. It looks nicer than the pop-ups a lot of you built. For number 2, we want to talk about DeepLinks. So if we go back over here to this app, that was kind of the main purpose of this app when I built it. There's a whole video around it. I guess I'll put a link to this up there ahead if you want to see it. But basically the idea was I could go in here and choose Greg. And then if I hit the send, right, we know that this will then send me an email and it will give me a link to open up the app and straight to Greg's record, right? It's called a deep link. And so we've been doing this way for 7 years or so. And it looks like as of a very recent update Microsoft put out, which I'm still trying to get clarity if they really meant what they wrote. I want to put that out there first. But the way that I read their announcement is that as of May 1st, they're going to deprecate mobile apps using this deep link format, right? And let me show you the format real quick. Right, there's the email. And if we hover, remember this is the whole, like, here's the whole URL to the app. And at the end there, we put ampersand, and then we made up an ID, in this case, employee ID. And then we include some type of key or record or pointer to the record we want, which in this case, it's the primary key or the ID field of Greg. And that's why we're seeing Greg's record, right? If I click this, it's going to open my browser straight into the Power App, straight to Greg's record. Like, that's the whole deep link. But so they said, the way that I read their documentation is as of May 1st, they're going to deprecate the way that we send deep links to mobile apps. Ay caramba. Which could actually be a little bit of a good thing, right? Because mobile app deep links, one of the problems with them that we've had over the years is that if a user has the app open and they get this link, it will just open the app. But because the app is not starting again, right? On start doesn't fire. And on start is where we usually handle the whole employee, the deep linking logic. So then the deep link didn't work for them anyway. So there's a new way to do it. So I want to show you how that works real quick. And we're going to, I think teaching this out of Notepad is going to work the best. Okay. So this is the new format. Once again, when we get done, pause, copy a screenshot, steal it, no problem, right? But MS-apps, right? So it's not the whole HTTP thing anymore. And then providers, Microsoft PowerApps, apps. And that's like, hey, I need you to put the app ID here. I need you to put the tenant ID here. I need you to put the environment ID here. And then this restart app equals true. That is nice because that would force the app to restart. So then guess what? Your on start logic would work the next time. So this will fix one of the problems, right? But if you're like a lot of people, you look at that and you go, how do I even know all the answers to that? And so I started thinking about how am I going to tell you to figure this out? And I came up with a lot of complicated answers. And I was like, wait a minute, there's an easier way. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump back over here to PowerApps. And so we're going to go to apps, and then we're going to go find that HR one that's right there. And what I want you to do is hit the ellipses here. And I want you to go to details, not settings, details. Okay. This web link that they give you has all the answers. So copy that, right? So copy this, go back to Notepad. This is literally how I did it earlier today. And then we'll go to here, right? We're going to paste this in. Okay. So if we look, we need an app ID. If you look in this URL, somewhere in here, right here, right? So A for app and for Apple, Sesame Street. Anyway, so that right here is the app ID. So Control C, right? And we'll go up here and we're going to paste that into the spot. Okay. Tenant ID. If you look, tenant ID equals, and right there is my tenant ID. Remember, this is my tenant ID. You probably can't use my tenant ID, right? Maybe, but most of you can't use my tenant ID. So, get your own. But there you go. There is my tenant ID. Then the environment ID, E is for elephant and environment. So for me, this right here, right, between the slashes, right, and between the slashes is usually the key. That is my environment ID. There you go. And so now we paste that in there. Okay, so that is going to fix up the URL. Now, the one piece that then is missing is the link to the person, right? So if we go back to our email, so assuming you already had this working, right? Let's copy this URL, copy the link. And so if we paste this one in, we can see that in all this gibberish, basically this portion is the dynamic part that I added, right? And remember, the video that I linked to earlier shows you how to build deep linking if you've never done it before. But so that is the deep link into, or the portion in there that like takes you straight to Greg's record. So then now if I take that and copy it, I can just go up here and I just add it to the end of the URL. So once you've got the URL that works, right? And maybe you should have stopped and tested that first, especially if it's first time doing it, but then you can throw this in there. And so then now that URL would direct me on a mobile phone directly to Greg. This one would work on a browser. So that's also important. If you're doing this and you're sending it to people and you're not sure if they're going to open in a browser or open on a mobile device, we probably need to send them both links. Be like, direct link on mobile, direct link anywhere else, right? You're going to have to think through that a little bit. And maybe we'll come up with a more clever solution. But as of right now, right, because this video is not just about this, I wanted to expose you guys to the idea that this, the way I read it, is being deprecated. And so we got to get ahead of doing this. And shout out to one of my training students. She actually told me about this in our office hours this yesterday, actually. And I was like, I should probably tell the whole world about that. So yeah, right. Remember, if you sign up at training.powerapps911.com for any of our paid classes, you get office hours. You get to hang out with me 3 hours a day, once a month, where we talk about things going on with either Power Apps, Power Automate, Copilot Studio, the spectrum, and I answer dozens of dozen of students' questions. Goodness gracious, talking is hard. You get the idea. So anyway, go sign up for that. This is a terrible commercial with all the mess ups, but it's fine. Okay, so that was 2. So the third one, this one's one that, Microsoft rolled out, and I thought, who cares? And it turns out that like the admin team here at PowerApps 911 is in love with this new feature. So I thought I should show you because maybe you don't care about this feature, but you might have people that do. And so what that is the ability to use the M365 Copilot inside of model-driven apps. So if we jump over here to the PowerApps timesheet app, right? Like, so we built our entire CRM by hand in PowerApps, and it's mostly model-driven apps. We've got like data connectors to QuickBooks, all this crazy stuff that make it work, right? But we manage basically the whole CRM, timesheet, reporting, all of that, projects, customers, leads in this app. Whatever, you don't care. So one of our PMs, I think it was Aubrey, said, wait a minute, I saw this announcement and I want to see, can Copilot help me as she manages our projects? So we needed to turn it on, but man, it's pretty cool, right? So I can jump over here to the right now, and I guess I should turn it on, but up here at the top, I got the little Copilot thing here, and I'll talk about how to enable it in just a second. But so when we click on this is loading the M365 Copilot, but it understands the app I'm in. So for example, I could say something like, review my timesheet entries for this week against my calendar to help me identify any time I might not have logged. Actually, just put in here Outlook calendar, just so we don't have any confusion with the calendar in here. And so if we hit go, right, because it's the M365 Copilot, it understands Outlook, right? You've already seen those types of demos before, but it also understands in this Power App all the Dataverse tables that are connected to it. So what you're going to see here in just a moment is it's going to pull in all my time data, and then it's going to pull in all my calendar entries for the week. I'm going to have to blur out a whole bunch of stuff. And then it's going to kind of iterate over those, right? So, and we didn't configure anything. We just turned this on and it works, right? Like there's not an agent behind the scenes. We didn't do anything like special, like here's how this, how to answer this question. It just natively worked. So Aubrey and the rest of the admin team is using it all day, every day, to help them better understand what's going on with projects, right? Summarize all the time entries for customer XYZ from consultant ABC, right? Like getting that type of insights into the data instead of like before they could do it by pulling it all in, they'd pull it into Excel, sort, filter, and kind of read them all the entries, because there's not only the timesheet time, right? But then there's the project notes, the internal notes, all these other fields. It's all right there. So And look, so now it's like, hey, here's what all you logged in the timesheet this week. Here's all the time you spent in meetings. And so then now it's trying to summarize my missed time and some practical recommendations for me, and then some suggested prompts, right? And so I've done this, right, because I don't use this every day, but they do, right? But I've used this a few different times. And like one of the times I just asked it for just my timesheet entries for the week, and it kind of broke them down by customers. And so that was helpful as I was trying to make sure that I was, helping all the right people and stuff. Like, this is a bigger deal than it might feel like. So definitely go check this out. Now, if you're thinking, okay, how do I turn it on? You do have to turn on. There's two things we need to do. So first, over in the Power Platform Admin Center, you want to go to Copilot and then Settings. And then we're going to scroll down here under Power Apps and then Chat Agent and then Chat Agent and Model Driven Apps. And then you're going to need to turn it on, right? So you can see that we have turned it on for different environments. Let's see, the environment you were just looking at was production. So PowerApps 911 production, right? So we'll click on that. We'll say edit settings. And so there you go. You can see it's on. So that's what you're going to do. You need to have it turned on. Okay. That's one. Number two is then in the Power App itself. So this is a different model driven app, but in your model driven app, right, where you're editing it, you're going to go to settings and then upcoming. And then you're going to turn on M365 Copilot, and we're going to change this from default to on. And so then once you turn this on, then that's what's going to make that little sparkly thing that we saw earlier show up in the top corner, right? The little Copilot icon. The third thing to keep in mind with this is that the user is going to obviously need a license, a PowerApps premium license to use your model-driven app. That shouldn't be shocking. But then they're also going to need an M365 Copilot license because it's using M365 Copilot. So you do have some licensing requirements, right? So you got to turn it on and at the tenant level or the environment level, turn it on for the environment, then you turn it on for the individual app, and then your users have to meet the licensing requirements. But my users are digging it. So might be one to go kick the tires on, especially if you have people that are doing lots of data like this and they'd love to be able to ask questions about it. So there we go. All right, 3 new features that I've been playing with. That confirm one, super cool. I really demos well, and it's making a lot of app building easier. That deep linking one, I'm trying to get more clarity from my friends at Microsoft, but man, that feels like that might break a bunch of stuff on May 1st. So I want to get that out in front of you. And then this Copilot one, right? Because Copilot is the future. I can feel like one of those Coca-Cola songs. We are the future. I don't know. Anyway, and so I thought that was important. Questions, comments, leave them below, right? That's how I figure out what videos you guys want me to make. And with that, I'm going to say thanks and have a great day.